Hello YouTube! Hopefully we're back now after a small hiatus, guess you could say. Some IRL stuff was happening and so I really couldn't record anything or stream. My headset mic broke, so yeah, quarantine hasn't been easy. But now, if you may notice, this is a new mic, I really like it. And hopefully I'll have a camera soon. The 4YMM team, led by Kivik, has made another anniversary project. Obviously 4 years of Mario Maker. Not really 4 years of Mario Maker, but you can see more info about why the naming, that kind of stuff, in the site 4ymm.warp.world. I will link it in the description. And I wanted to showcase this level in particular because I'm a puzzle lover myself, and this puzzle, not only it's really good, the concept is great, but also there are lots of design philosophies you can learn with this level, which is what is bringing me to make this video. So without further ado, let's dive right into it. If my internet decides to work. Okay. So, right off the bat, you may notice that this level uses custom scroll. We'll talk more about that later, because there's some crazy stuff that is done with this level using custom scroll. Anyways. Here, the first thing you may look at are these doors. There's a door pointing down and a door pointing up. Because the level name is Permuting Perspectives, you can see here that by entering the door, you can shift the perspective of the puzzle to see new areas that are previously hidden. So the first thing you want to do here is to shift the perspective down, because as you can see here, up top there's a mole, and if you get the mole onto the note block here to the right, it will drop a POW block. But the problem is, if you do that when you have the top perspective, you just can't get the POW, because if you drop, you will just die, because there will be a pit. So this is why you want to be changing perspectives all the time. This vine is cool because it allows the player to see this, and it conveniently gets the mole in the hole, and you'll see why that is important later. So after the player gets this, the player may notice that they can get the POW from here, but they have to get the mole in that one tile gap, which is hard to do when you can't see where the hole is. However, if you pay attention, there are two things you can do to line yourself up to the hole. First, there's this block, which is the most obvious one, but you can also go here to line yourself up to where the vine would be. The vine is in this column. But the main one is this block right here. It is positioned in such a way on purpose, and you can see that after we finish getting the POW block. Let's just wait a little bit here so that the mole gets in position. Bring the mole over and get the POW block. So with the POW block, now what we want to do is shift the perspective back up and throw the POW block to free this bomb so it can blow up the block. What that does for us is get us a bomb, which then we can use to go down in the level and blow the block up. The block which you used to line up to get the POW block. That is important because that basically says that the POW block isn't really that useful anymore. I just got the POW block on accident here, but you can see that the order of operations basically means that now that we have fulfilled the duty of this POW block for the puzzle. Anyways, now that we have blown the block up, which is the convenient way to do this, you can go for the other part of this puzzle, which is actually getting out of this room. You can see here that there's a vine on this block, but you can't climb all the way back up because of the perspective. But when you go up, there is no vine, you have to hit it from here. So, what you may notice looking at the other perspective, let me get back real quick, is that the shell could potentially hit from the upper perspective the block on the bottom, even though the player can't go there. The shell can, because the pit is only lethal to the player. So what blowing this block up does is basically free the way for the shell here to do this path. You can't do it from here because it will just end up on the bomb pit right there on the left. And if the block was here, throwing it here on the left would also get the shell over here. So this is why we did the POW and bomb operation. So basically, what you should be noticing by now is that the puzzle really isn't that hard to operate, let's say it like that. Like, getting the mole into this hole is really easy in both perspectives because there's this vine and there's a block below, as I talked about previously. And to get the vine, there's this donut block, which you just throw the shell on, and it will just do it for you. So this is something really important to keep in mind for puzzle levels in Mario, and in general, but especially in Mario I think, because of the way the time limit works and usually how lengthy puzzle levels are. The execution of them should be pretty simple, because after all, the challenge of a puzzle level shouldn't be execution, it should be the puzzle itself. So here you can see that the maker basically utilized a bunch of tools to make execution as simple as possible, so the player can focus more on solving the puzzle, and therefore enjoy more the level. So now we go into this next room, which because I already used over 300 seconds, I'm just gonna kill myself real quick to reset the timer, which is... Timer, I mean, Nintendo obviously shouldn't add a unlimited timer, but it just kinda sucks for puzzle levels. Anyways, this room, you may imaginate, I guess, what this will be doing for us. I don't know why I'm not being able to talk right now, but okay. You can see here there are a few pipes and the screen, there's on-off blocks, that kind of stuff. So this is basically a hub which we'll be using a bunch of times, which is really interesting, and we'll bring that up back again later. So here you can see that there's a pipe which we wanna enter here on the left, but now it is blocked because of the perspective shift. You will notice when you step in here in these launchers that they are on a seesaw. So what you're gonna do here is go to the right, so you can get the item from the left cannon. Now you can use this item to lift the other cannon up to get the power block. Now, some may think that you should just throw the power block, but you can't see the pipe. So what we wanna do is, if I could platform, yeah, enter the pipe and reset the perspective. And now we'll have a brief moment of time where you can kill the Thwomp and enter the left pipe. Now that we've done that, we'll enter another sort of hub room. We obviously can't go to the right because, well, we don't have high enough of a jump to come up here. In the ground here is a spring indicating that we will need one to get through here, which is a really nice touch. And here, the only thing to do is trigger this on-off switch. This is really good because the way this is done with the spike ball and the question mark block, which is only able to be used once, is really good because even though this pipe has the on-off gate right here in the front, if you come back from this pipe and you have the spring to go up here. If this block was instead the on-off switch and there wasn't this spike ball mechanism, you could go into the pipe up there with whichever state you wanted. So this is just a really good way to ensure that the state will be right. Anyways, let's keep going with the puzzle. This is a small little transition room with the 4mm text, really nice, really nice. And now we're back to the previous hub room. Now we can't go over here to the right because the on-off switch changed state. And we have instead to use the vines, that will come into play later. Now you may see that the perspective has changed, it isn't going to the right anymore. So, now we can get the power block, but we can't bring the power block over. Oh wait, I did poo poo. We need to do a better order of operations here. You go over here, get the power block, put it onto the cannon so that you can get the spring. Now I have the spring. Now we can use the cannon to jump over, use the spring because if you remember previously when the perspective was shifted, let me move this so it doesn't make noise, there was a key door with a platform on it and you could use that to jump here. But now we can only use the vine, so we can't bring the POW over. But you need the POW to go over to the left, which is the ultimate objective, as indicated on the left. And you need to do that with the spring, as indicated with the spring on the cannon. These are really nice things to do, putting items inside the walls near warp points, such as doors and pipes, to indicate a progression system, especially in Metroidvania and anything that basically reuses an area. Just really helps the player out, just aesthetically pleasing, all of that kind of stuff. Anyways, now that we brought the spring over, we can bring the power block back, can use the power block, step on it and bring the spring, and the spring we can throw up without breaking. We can't do that with the power block. So now that we've done all this order of operation, I didn't throw the power block on the thwomp, which is dumb, but that also serves to show the point of this on-off switch change. Now that you're back in this room and there aren't these blocks, you can't go back into the pipe with an item.
So now we'll just do it again and reset the puzzle fully.
Oh yeah, you also don't need to do that Kaizo trick. You can also do it like this. There's a reason for this, remember about it. If you think that this is too hard, usually that's true for puzzle levels. Puzzle levels should, at least good puzzle levels, will have an easy solution for everything. So if you're doing something too hard and you know the puzzle level is good, there's probably an easier solution, or you're trying to break the level. Which, if the level is good, probably isn't the way. Probably isn't even possible. So you should just stop wasting your time with that. Anyways, let's actually kill the thwomp this time around. And now we are in the pipe with the spring. And now we can go over here to this pipe. And again, the mechanism on the left. Now that means that we can't go in here with whichever state we want. We can only go with the off state. But that's just really helpful in general for level design, so that the level doesn't break on accident. We'll just quickly reset here because again of the time and because I'm talking, so that's why we're taking so long. Anyways, this part of the level is quite simple, but it will showcase some really interesting stuff about scroll lock. So now we'll break the scroll lock and it basically doesn't change the screen much. But it reveals the power block, which we'll use now to go back into the door and reveal another part of the puzzle. So the door which side of the door you're coming from changed the perspective of the puzzle. Anyways, now what we're gonna do right here is break this other block, as it's common in this level, which will again reveal more of the puzzle. So now we reveal the key door, that's our main objective, but we don't have a key. So now if we go back into the door, something magical will happen. Suddenly this area down here is revealed and you can get a key. It's truly a magical moment and not something usually players would think of when making levels, which is why this level is so special. If you bring the bomb in here, which is not cheese, you just get the cake for the level. I won't bother with that because I'm talking about the level design. I'm not hunting for cakes right now. This on-off state change is also really useful now that because it prevents us from getting CPU 1s if we are dumb enough to do it. So that's basically just good level design in the sense of preventing a player from doing an accident that can lead them to lose progress or just lose time in general. Blocking off areas you don't need to go off anymore, you're already done everything in there. It's just good level design, so you should keep that in mind. If you can do it in level, it's good. So now you may think, wait, but we already entered this room with that same off state, but this time suddenly a whole new puzzle is opened here in the bottom of the level, which is really interesting. And this is something that is done through scroll lock, which is really interesting, where you can have multiple steps on the scroll lock. If the scroll lock stops, it will only continue its chain if you break the scroll lock and it reaches the other birds on the path. So what the creator did here is have a chain of birds doing this path upward, then down here to this puzzle. But when we were in CP1, it never went down because it first locked up and there was no way to break the scroll lock. But this scroll lock was broken right on the start of CP2. If you remember, the 2 blocks were blown up with the bomb in CP2. Which led to us getting the key, basically, and coming back here. Both the key trick and this are the same thing, where by breaking the scroll lock you're allowing one of the steps to fully complete, which then will lead to this other one, which is down. Or, I mean, you could do it whatever direction you wanted, but in this case it goes in a sharp down direction. And it reveals these parts of the puzzle that weren't seen before, because you never reached those parts of the scroll. So this is a really interesting way to do macro progression in the level. You can do that kind of stuff to... let me rephrase this. Micro progression is really interesting for puzzles. Let's say, in CP1 for this puzzle, you had this puzzle with the on-off state on the on state and on the off state. And both of them were different puzzles. This is micro progression. Now, the cooler thing that you usually can do for levels are macro progressions. Macro means more on the general level, not just in one room. So, what you changed on the start of the CP2 has effects on the entire level, where it's just unlocked a new part of the puzzle for this puzzle, which is in another area. So this is one way you could really use to try to improve your levels. So what you can take out from this level so far is cohesive level design from a good difficulty curve and sort of explaining the mechanics slowly, introducing it, bringing in new challenges, all that kind of stuff. And something that really makes a level stand out in the middle of so many levels are these kinds of dope moments, those dope macro moments where some will just come back to a room and it just completely changed. Anyways, enough talking, let's just finish this puzzle. Well, let's see what we did wrong here. Back here. Let's see what was the oversight we made on our analysis. So first off, free the mole. Get the power block. Now we have all of the items. Let's see what we did wrong. Problem was, when we lifted the left side, we couldn't. When we lifted the right side, we couldn't just lift the left side from the right. How do I fix this? Okay, both of the items are in place. We can't... If we step on this left side for now, we won't be able to go to the right side to be able to lift the left side of the seesaw for the mole to go past, right? Yeah. Actually, never mind, I'm dumb. Yes, that is the solution. We just do this. I'm dumb. I overcomplicated it. It happens. As you may see, the solution was even simpler than what I was going with. And that happens in puzzle levels, where you just overcomplicate the crap out of it. And again, you may notice that the entire level is really easy to execute. Just really easy to execute. There are so many puzzle levels in Mario Maker that are just... They don't focus enough on the puzzle aspect, and they just have a really execution heavy puzzle, which is not what you should aim for. At least, I mean, if you're a masochist then sure, but not the player base won't like won't like these levels. Anyways, another thing that some puzzle levels miss is cohesive level design, in the sense of a good, strong core mechanic for the level. This level was true to its roots and its name. All along it was all about perspectives, all puzzles based around perspectives. It was developing on the main mechanic, slowly introducing it, and then giving it a grand finale on CP2, when it just decided to shift things up in a macro scale and go back to previous rooms, having them completely change and reuse, which is really interesting. So those are all things you should keep in mind while making puzzle levels. I hope I helped you all. This video is a little longer than what I expected it to, but it's fine. I talked everything I wanted to. So, without further ado, hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, all that good stuff. Join the Discord, link in the description. And follow me on Twitch so you can know when I'm going live. I usually like to live stream more than I like to have to edit videos for YouTube, but I do both. Usually YouTube content is more educational content like this, so if this is what you like, supporting me here is good enough. But if you enjoy seeing uncut, raw reactions, gameplay, all that good stuff, you can head over to Twitch. I'll just stop this video here because I don't know why I'm talking so much. Okay, see ya!